Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and this time we are talking about the insane potential of the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. And I'd like to point out right from the get-go that the lifetime for this video is likely going to be very short, because it is reported that the Switch 2 reveal will happen on January 16th. I'm recording this on January 15th. This video will likely have less than 24 hours of a lifetime of relevance, assuming that the reports turn out to be true. And I'm sure there are people freaking out about the announcement for the reveal not having happened yet, but I should also point out that when we go back to October 19th, 2016, the eve of the Switch 1 reveal, Nintendo did not announce it until 8:30 PM EST, and as of this recording, that's still several hours away, so I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that it's not happening yet. But if it doesn't happen tomorrow, I'm sure at some point it will, and then all of a sudden this video does have a longer lifespan. But basically, the editing for this video is going to be very simple because I expect it to have a short lifespan. And I really just want to get into the potential for this reveal trailer because I think it's actually pretty significant and worthy of a conversation. So that's what we're doing today. But before going forward, let me take this moment to ask that if you do find yourself enjoying my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. So what I find very interesting about Nintendo potentially waiting until the end of the day, at least here in the States, to announce the reveal trailer for tomorrow, is that it would maybe be a hint towards Nintendo doing their best to emulate the success of Switch 1. The Nintendo Switch 1 is pacing to become the best-selling console of all time. And not just from a hardware perspective. When we think of things from a software perspective, it's already extremely successful. The attach rates on Switch 1 are insane. So many games on the Nintendo Switch have seen record highs. And perhaps what's most insane about the Nintendo Switch is that it's not a lightning in a bottle situation. It's not a fad. It's something that can be replicated, unlike what happened with the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo's two prior greatest successes. But because Nintendo is focusing on just one platform now, the success of the Switch 2 is even more important. They won't have another platform to fall back on. Sure, the Switch 1 I expect to stay relevant for a couple more years, but we are going through a waning process as interest continues to deteriorate on Switch 1 as people move on. They're going to need to prop up their next generation. So basically, Nintendo needs to do everything they can to ensure that their next generation is as successful as possible. So what are they doing? Well, one, they're taking their sweet time. They're making sure that everything is lined up and ready to go. Likely the software, the hardware, their partners and relationships, the branding, the marketing, all of that. They would want to get that in line. And when you consider all of these elements, basically what they want to do is emulate what happened with Switch 1. They had the perfect marketing scheme. They had the perfect lineup of games. And the hardware offered a level of flexibility and appeal to the widest audience possible. That is what's so great about the Switch. You can switch to handheld mode, to docked mode, to even tabletop mode, and everything in between. That flexibility, along with console quality games wherever you go, is what has made Switch so much more appealing than prior Nintendo consoles. And so you take a look at that initial Switch 1 reveal trailer. That reveal trailer, I think, might be the greatest trailer Nintendo has ever made. Because it did so many things in a time where we were unsure what they would do. It was extremely clear what the Switch was all about from that trailer. They established what you could do with the console, the portability of it, being able to use it as a home console at home, and everything in between. But those very first moments where they showed Breath of the Wild, this big Zelda game that everyone was so excited for after seeing at E3 just a few months beforehand. It was the most ambitious Nintendo game ever, and we were seeing it on a console. They first showed it playing on a TV, having us believe that this is the traditional home console experience that we all wanted to see Zelda for, but then when we see it being taken portably, and it's still the same experience, that moment was magical. That moment was huge. Seeing Breath of the Wild playable in both ways, unhampered, That's the moment that I think most people were sold. I remember myself. I was listening to all the rumors and different things going on. Is this going to be a powerful home console? Is it going to be a hybrid, as some rumors were suggesting? And I didn't like the idea of a hybrid because I thought they wouldn't be able to appropriately achieve what a home console would be. But once I saw Breath of the Wild in all its glory, perfectly fine, regardless of which mode you're playing in, I was totally sold. But it wasn't just that moment with Breath of the Wild, but it was the other things shown in the trailer. It was Skyrim, a big third-party game from a developer that never really puts any games on Nintendo. That kind of support, seeing Bethesda involved with Nintendo, that was insane. Seeing the return of other types of third-party games like NBA 2K, something we hadn't seen much of in the prior generation, that was also a big sell. But then also showing a brand new 3D Mario. If everything else didn't sell a system, it was this new Mario game we knew nothing about. And of course, I think Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart Deluxe should also be mentioned because they were exciting moments as well. When I take a look at that Switch 1 trailer, I think this is what Nintendo needs to emulate, and from the rumors and reports, this is going to be a hardware-focused reveal. And so there's some debate on what that ultimately may end up being. But when I really think about it, I think in order to showcase the hardware, you need to showcase the hardware playing games. So I think just like the Switch 1 trailer, there will be games. There may not be specific announcements on these games in that trailer, but we will see them playing on the console. This type of trailer is what Nintendo has used not just for the Switch 1, but also for the reveal of the Switch Lite and the OLED, and it has worked. And so when it comes to Switch 2, the potential of this trailer, I think, is something similar to Switch 1. But there are some differences. We already know what the Switch is now. So with the Switch 2, instead of having to convey this concept that, hey, this is the new change, you can switch, with Switch 2, they probably want to point out that yes, this is still that experience, but also better and improved in ways that make you want to move on. And so I expect that they will establish that you can still switch this console just like Switch 1, but also its improvements in ways. Maybe they will show how portable mode is better with a better screen. Maybe they'll show how tabletop mode is better, how you can maybe move around the Joy-Con as a mouse with a table surface, potentially. That is a theorized feature of the console. Maybe they will convey some new elements of the console, like what the C button does. But what also might be a pretty big deal here is showing off how much more powerful the Switch 2 is compared to Switch 1. And how do you best convey that? With the games. Which really brings me to my main point. All these other elements are important, and they are sure to be exciting for the core Nintendo fan. But the games, just like with the Switch 1 trailer, is where it really matters. How will they open things up? Will they open up with Metroid Prime 4, showing it better than ever before? Or will they maybe show off the next Mario Kart, something we've been anticipating for over a decade? Or the next 3D Mario? Experiences that you can't get anywhere else. Or will they perhaps show off unprecedented AAA third-party support, as we've been hearing for a Nintendo console? Will they show off something like Elden Ring, or Cyberpunk, or Red Dead Redemption 2? Maybe the next Call of Duty, a series we didn't see on Switch 1. Nintendo has an opportunity here with the reveal trailer to not only sell us on this being an improvement over Switch 1, but to also show how it's better. If there are game series on Switch 2 that were never on Switch 1, that can bring in another audience. If they can show that Switch 2 has improved online support, if there is a community feature where you can have group messaging, where you can plug in a headset and it just works and you don't have to rely on a poorly executed mobile app. If Nintendo shows that they've caught up to some of these modern standards, but they also at the same time show some of the interesting new mechanics of the Switch 2, as we theorize with some of the Joy-Con functionality, while also showing off improvements to the games and games we haven't seen before that really want us to buy into this console. The potential is insane. The potential, in some ways, could be even greater than Switch 1, because it could help to position Switch 2 to become an even greater success than Switch 1. It's a tall task, but it's plausible. And that's why it's an insane potential. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.